Welcome back to the Good World channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is continuing to break below yet another crucial level on the price chart in the short term, which means the price is now repeating history, potentially getting closer towards a massive move towards the downside if history is any indication for Bitcoin. So this is something that we need to pay attention to, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside new price targets that we also need to pay attention to, while Ethereum is continuing to play out this warning signal on the price chart, while the price of XRP is breaking below this crucial level, getting close towards the final significant level of support that we also need to pay attention to. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts today, we need to take a quick look at the US stock market, because this right here is the S&P 500 index on the 1 hour time frame, and right now we're seeing a continued dump in the US stock market. So briefly, obviously we hit oversold over the last 1 day or so here in the 1 hour RSI for the S&P 500 index. We hit oversold in the RSI, which means obviously we're likely going to see maybe some sort of bounce, and we did start to see a little bit of a bounce, but that already reset the RSI out of oversold, which now technically gives us more room towards the downside again. So already the price is once again dropping back towards these local lows. And now it's likely that at some stage over the next few days, the price will start to stabilize a little bit and have a little bit of a break from all of the bearish price action. But with that being said, we're still looking quite weak in the shorter term for the US stock market. We don't really have a lot of strength or a lot of bullish momentum right now, which also means expect a lot of weakness for the crypto market. As I've been saying for many years now on the channel, crypto and stocks are highly correlated. It's not a perfect one-to-one correlation, but usually if we see some sort of dump or a lot of weakness in the US stock market, as we have been seeing just recently, usually that's not good news for Bitcoin and crypto. So just keep this in mind moving forward. And so with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today here on the weekly time frame, not much has changed at all over the last 1 day, at least on this time frame right here. So the super chin indicator is still sitting in the red, indicating a larger correction or larger bearish market. And on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have a massive bearish divergence to watch out for, which has not gone away over the last 1 day. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, we're now at pretty much the point of invalidation. We've not yet fully confirmed an invalidation for this bullish divergence on the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, but we're basically at the point. So very soon, if in the next 1 or 2 days we continue this dump a little lower, then of course that would officially start to invalidate this bullish divergence here on the 3-day time frame, while the larger bearish divergence remains active. So keep that in mind. This larger bearish divergence can potentially continue to play out over a period of months. Remember, this is more of a longer term signal, not a short term signal. But then on smaller time frames during those larger bearish movements, we can of course see shorter term signals play out, which is what has been playing out over the last few weeks. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, obviously over the last few days, we've broken back below this crucial area on the price chart, and we've now officially confirmed a daily candle close well below that area. So for a little amount of time, a small amount of time, this was acting as a bit of support in between 92,000 to 94,000, but previously it was significant resistance. So obviously once we broke out above 94,000, it was crucial for the price to hold above that level to keep that breakout active and to avoid basically the invalidation of the breakout, which has now happened. Obviously we've now broken back below 92 to 94,000, therefore invalidating the breakout and basically meaning that this is just a fake out towards the upside. And so now that the price of Bitcoin has officially confirmed the break back below 92 to 94,000, obviously expect resistance again in that area if the price actually gets back up there. Obviously I'm not saying we're definitely going to go there right now, but if eventually the price gets back to 92 to 94,000, expect resistance around there, which means struggle or possible rejections from around that area. And as for the next support to watch out for as we're continuing this drop, we do have a decent amount of support around these lows based on this Fibonacci level as well, which is sitting at around 85 to 86,000. And if we're staying on the daily Bitcoin price chart, but comparing the current price of Bitcoin to what we've seen in the past, we can see a lot of similarities what we're seeing right now compared to what we saw around end of Q1 2020. 2022, around February, entering into March, entering into April 2022. Because obviously back then we were in a larger bearish market. Obviously 2022 was indeed a bear market, but during that larger bearish market that played out over around a year or so, we did have a multi-month bullish relief where we saw a lot of choppy sideways price action. We saw some higher lows, some decent higher lows, and then eventually a breakout forming some higher highs, breaking out above a very crucial level of resistance for the price of Bitcoin back then. And so once again, we saw a couple of months, around 2 months of choppy sideways price action with higher lows on the price chart for the price of Bitcoin, and then eventually confirming a breakout above that very important level of resistance, which, in case you're wondering, back then around March to April 2022, that level of resistance was sitting at around $44,000 to $45,000 per Bitcoin, which was basically the equivalent of this level that was resistance, and we broke out above around 94,000. And so once again, what happened last time was a breakout. We held above that level, but then a few days later, around a week later after the breakout, we actually confirmed a break back to the downside, back below that very important level on the price chart. So due to the fact that we failed to hold above that crucial level, and we confirmed a break back to the downside, therefore invalidating the breakout towards the upside, that was a sign of weakness, and of course a bearish signal telling us that the larger bearish market, in other words, the larger bearish trend on the larger timeframes, could likely continue moving forward. And so obviously what happened last time was we eventually moved all the way back down towards these previous lows back here, and then even broke below those lows to continue much further towards the downside. And of course, these lows this time around, if we're looking at the candle closes on the daily time frame, are sitting at around 84 to 85,000. If we're looking at this candle week low, that's at around 80 to 81,000. And so obviously, if history is any indication, obviously there's no guarantees. There's never any guarantee when it comes to financial markets or investments or trading. But with that being said, if history is any indication, there's a likely chance that the price of Bitcoin could at least come back down towards these lows for the price of Bitcoin. So I'm talking about potentially 84 to 85,000, or even as low as 80 to 81,000. And then once again, based on what happened last time, we even broke below those levels to continue further towards the downside. So just keep that in mind. That could be a likely scenario due to the fact that we failed this very, very important breakout. We failed to hold above that very important level on the price chart. And the last time we saw something very similar to this was, of course, around April 2022. And we all saw what came next. But obviously, also keep in mind that there's some things different fundamentally speaking. So obviously around May 2022, a big factor of that huge drop right there was, of course, the Luna crash, which was around a $50 to $60 billion cryptocurrency completely imploding and taking down a lot of cryptocurrencies and crypto companies with it. And so just keep that in mind. It may not necessarily be a violent move like that towards the downside unless we somehow see a Luna 2.0 or something equivalent to that. But obviously, in terms of the price structure on the price chart, it's not looking too good for the price of Bitcoin when we're talking about, say, the next few weeks or so. But if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, we can see that obviously over the last one day, we did indeed confirm a break below this level of support, which was sitting at around 89.9k, so very close to $90,000. And in fact, after we confirmed the break towards the downside, we came back up for a retest of that level and perfectly rejected from that exact level on the price chart, especially in terms of the candle closes here. We perfectly rejected from pretty much exactly 89.9k, which means obviously we've now officially flipped previous support into new resistance again, like what we saw back here, which is of course bearish price structure here in the short term, flipping support into resistance, which means obviously now expect resistance at close to $90,000, around 89.9k. And as for the next short term support to watch out for, we do have some support at around 86.7k to 86.9k, and below that level right there, once again, we have a lot of support at around 85 to 86,000. $89,000. And of course, another factor helping to cause all of this bearish price action, on top of the fact that we've been playing out the bearish divergence, and on top of the fact that of course Bitcoin follows similar price action to what the stock market is doing, and right now obviously with stocks dumping, it means Bitcoin is likely going to play out some sort of weakness or bearish price action moving forward. On top of those factors helping to cause this bearish price action, we also obviously have been building a lot of liquidity towards the downside here in the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, which basically draws the price towards wherever we have a lot of liquidity, especially if that liquidity is close to the current price of Bitcoin. And so now that we've perfectly wiped out that liquidity exactly as expected at around 89,000 to 89,500, if we're zooming out on this Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see new liquidity starting to build on this 1 month chart. Looking at the last 1 month worth of price action, we have a major area of liquidity not far off the current price of Bitcoin, sitting in between 85.2k to 85.8k. So at roughly 85,500, we have a lot of liquidity starting to build down there. And now, once again, the price usually doesn't move in a straight line. So if we, for example, see a bit of a bounce from this support, maybe play out this oversold signal at some point in the next couple of days, see a slight little relief overall, that doesn't change the fact that we have more liquidity building towards the downside, which means maybe at some stage in a few days from now, it doesn't have to happen right this moment, but maybe in a few days from now, it's possible we could ultimately wipe out that liquidity. In fact, it's likely that will happen. As always, no guarantees, but that's a likely probability that we need to consider and need to be aware of. And so that is the current situation and my exact predictions moving forward, and the key levels and signals and fractals and everything to watch out for the price of Bitcoin. And of course, if you want to trade any of these moves, even if the price is bearish, using short positions to profit along the way towards the downside, then in that situation, you need to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And if you're using the first link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment, that first link below the video will take you to the 2bit crypto exchange, where you can take advantage of some major bonuses that are only available using that link. For example, if you make your account using that link, and right here, obviously you get a sign up bonus, and there's also trading bonuses, deposit bonuses, etc., up to over 18,000 USDT in bonuses, which you can claim using that first link below the video to 2bit. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well do that. And on top of that, 2bit just recently partnered with La Liga, and they're currently running a massive event over there on 2bit, where there's basically around 800,000 USDT in prizes and a bunch of other things that you can claim using that first link below the video to 2bit. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. You might as well take advantage of this using that first link below the video. And in case you're wondering, yes, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But if you want another option out there, another exchange that I also personally use myself to claim some extra bonuses on, then in that situation, check out the second link below the video in the description and in the pinned comment, because the second link below the video will take you to this page right here over on the Pinex crypto exchange, where once again you can take advantage of some major bonuses that are only available using that link. For example, if you make your account using that link, complete KYC, you get a 50 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. And on top of that, there's also deposit bonuses here. If you deposit as little as 100 USDT, you get a 100 USDT bonus on your account. If you deposit 10,000, you get a 1,000 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. So obviously a bunch of free money from the exchange, which you can claim using that second link below the video. So obviously, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. You might as well take advantage of this. Once again, second link below the video to Pinex. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, and right now, honestly, not a lot has changed over the last 1 day. We're still basically chopping around sideways for the Bitcoin dominance. Obviously, more recently in the short term, we've been on a shorter term bullish move in the Bitcoin dominance, but the larger structure or the larger trend right now on the daily time frame for the Bitcoin dominance is still looking relatively neutral, just bouncing around sideways, which means, in case you're new to all of this, it means basically for a lot of the major altcoins out there, expect similar performance for the altcoin market compared to what Bitcoin is doing, at least on average. Obviously, there's always outliers when it comes to altcoins. Some can do better, some can do worse, but overall, on average, expect a lot of the major altcoins to perform very similar price action to whatever Bitcoin is doing, which means, of course, if Bitcoin's dumping like this, expect something similar to that for a lot of the altcoins out there. So with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, obviously right now the price of ETH is following Bitcoin with that dump right now, and over the last 1 week or so, especially in the last few days, dumping towards the downside. And over the last 1 day, just recently, we've now officially confirmed a daily candle close confirming below 3,000. So obviously this is now confirming the break below 3,000, which means this could potentially now act as new resistance. So if we start to see a bit of a bounce again in the short term, expect resistance in between 3,000 to 3.1k. And as for the next support to watch out for, we could have other short-term levels of support that I'll talk about in just a moment, but the next significant level of support is sitting in between roughly 2750 to 2.8k. So especially close to 2.8k, we have a lot of support around there to keep in mind, but obviously we've just broken below a crucial level, which was this area in between 3,000 to 3.1k. And here on the 8-hour time frame for the price of ETH, we're still playing out this bearish divergence, the warning signal that I've been talking about over the last few days, obviously helping to cause, obviously not the only cause, but helping to cause more of this pullback and a lot of weakness in the short term for the price of ETH. And of course, over the last 1 day, we briefly hit oversold, and we're just now hitting oversold again. And the last time, just recently, that we hit oversold, we did see this slight little bounce. So it's possible at some stage in the next 1 or 2 days, we could start to see a little bit of a relief. Once again, don't expect a lot of strength, don't expect a lot of bullish momentum, but maybe within the next couple of days, we see a little bit of a break from all of the bearish price action. So that could be either a slight little bounce, maybe some choppy sideways price action, just a bit of a break from the bearish price action, most likely starting within the next couple of days or so, because we're pretty much at oversold right now again here in the 8-hour RSI for the price of ETH. But overall, once again, bearish divergence technically still active, and of course with Bitcoin and the stock market looking weak in the short term, it's unlikely that Ethereum will show significant strength at least anytime soon. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, right now the price of Solana has continued the perfect rejection from my exact area of resistance in between 143 to 147. And in fact, right now we're running into my exact level of support and perfectly starting to find a bit of support, a slight little bounce from this level, which is sitting at around 124 to 125. And I've not changed these levels for months, by the way. You can check any one of my videos over the last few months, and I'm still showing these exact same levels. So obviously right now the price is perfectly rejecting and bouncing from these levels right here. But obviously, considering the fact that Ethereum, Bitcoin, the stock market, etc. are all looking very weak right now in the short term, if that weakness continues moving forward, especially in the stock market, if we continue to show some weakness moving forward, then in that situation, we may see a little bit more weakness or pullback for Solana at some stage in the next few days or so. And so if eventually we start breaking below 124 to 125, which is the current support to watch out for, if we break below that level, in that situation, the next support to watch out for is sitting at around just under 120, so around 118 to almost 120 as the next area of support or short-term level of support to watch out for. And if we break below those lows right there, below especially 118, 117, in that situation, we could potentially see a move closer towards $100, in between $100 to $105 as the next area of support to watch out for. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, not a lot has changed over the last 1 day on this chart right here, because we're still playing out the massive bearish divergence that I've been talking about basically every day since around end of July, early August, warning about this multi-month pullback. So obviously this is all still playing out right now, but we also still have a lot of support at $1.80, which is really the final significant level of support for the price of XRP before potentially much lower prices. I've been saying that for months now on the channel, and obviously close to a month ago, a few weeks ago, we did hold that level right here as major support at around $1.80. So that bought us some time. It obviously helped to avoid a much more larger or much more bearish price action, a larger bearish move coming potentially if we break below that level. But right now we're coming in for another test very soon, potentially, of this final significant level of support at around $1.80. And once again, if we break below $1.80, especially with a weekly candle close below that level, in that situation, that'll be extremely bearish, and we'll likely see a move very easily down towards $1.60, most likely down towards even $1.30 to $1.40 as the next major target if we first break below $1.80. So I'm talking about potentially quite easily a 20 to 30% crash could be very much on the table here if we break below $1.80. Once again, still acting as major support at $1.80, but that's really the final significant level of support before potentially those much lower price targets. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, obviously over the last few days, we broke below that short-term level of support, which was sitting at around $2.05. So now expect that to become new resistance if we see some sort of bounce. Obviously, I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen, but if we see some sort of bounce, obviously expect resistance really in between $2 to $2.05 as an area of resistance. And as for support, once again, a lot of support at give or take $1.80. But if we break that level, like I just said earlier, expect potentially much more bearish price action over weeks and months for the price of XRP, which does indeed present potentially a massive trading opportunity to short XRP towards these lower price targets. As always, not financial advice, but just giving you an insight on what I'm looking at potentially doing myself if we first break below $1.80, which once again right now has not yet happened. And if we're taking a quick look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, right now as of recording the video, the price of Chainlink is now testing a crucial level on the price chart, a very important level based on these previous lows, which previously has acted as major support, sitting at around $12, really in between $11.90 to $12. We have major support around there, which once again right now we're pretty much testing that level as of recording this video. But if we confirm a break below around $11.90 with a daily candle close below that level, in that situation we could easily fall another dollar towards the downside, around $10.90 to $11 as the next support to watch out for if we first confirm the break below $11.90. And as for resistance, in case we see any sort of bounce from this level of support here, in that situation expect a decent amount of resistance at around $12.70 to $12.80 and more resistance at give or take $13.40. But overall, obviously expect a lot of weakness in the short term for the price of Chainlink, especially if Bitcoin and the stock market continue more of this weakness moving forward, which right now has obviously been the case and could likely continue to be the case if history is any indication when we're talking about the next few weeks or maybe over the next 1 month or so. But once again, in case you're new to all of this, you can still profit in the crypto market even during all of this bearish price action, using things like short positions, for example, to profit along the way towards the downside, or you could simply just wait on the sidelines for some potentially lower prices to accumulate cheaper crypto assets at lower prices for an eventual recovery later on if that's more of your strategy. But either way, there's always ways to profit in the crypto market, no matter what direction the price goes. Obviously, you just need to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange, and if you use those links below the video to those exchanges, you can claim some major bonuses that are available using those links if of course you want to. And so obviously if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well take advantage of that using those links. But if you want to know how you can trade crypto no matter what direction the price goes, to profit in any direction, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.